When you receive the professional binding jig and guitar carrier from LMI, it needs to be assembled. Let's start by mounting the router to the binding jig base. The binding jig head is pre-drilled to accept Porter cable, DeWalt, and Bosch laminate trimmers. To mount the Porter cable and DeWalt laminate trimmers to the base, it's necessary to remove the rub ring adjuster. This is done by pulling back the thumb lock to clear the ring notches and then unscrewing the rub ring adjuster counterclockwise. This gives you access to the pre-drilled holes for the DeWalt and Porter cable laminate trimmers. When it comes time to remount it, adjust the thumb lock, carefully start the rub ring clockwise back onto the threaded sleeve. Be careful not to force it because you could potentially damage it if you cross-thread it. For the purposes of this video, I will be installing the Bosch laminate trimmer. Start by removing the aluminum base from the motor. Then remove the 4 screws that attach the plastic to the aluminum. Place the router base on the binding jig head so that the front of the base is facing the thumb lock. Then use the screws that were used to attach the plastic piece to the router base to attach the base to the binding jig head. The router can now be placed back into the base. The binding machine can either be clamped to your bench or securely mounted using the optional mounting kit. The mounting kit consists of brass inserts and some bolts. The inserts are put into your bench, and then you use the bolts to attach the base of the jig to your bench. You can use a punch to mark the location of the holes. You can then use a 3/8 inch drill bit, or approximately 10 millimeters, to drill a hole in your bench. Take one of the threaded inserts, put the nut that came with the mounting kit onto one of the bolts, put it onto the threaded insert, and then use a socket to insert the insert into your bench. The base of the jig can now go over the bolts, and then use your socket to tighten the jig securely to your bench. The guitar carrier, which consists of a central base and 4 adjustable arms, also needs to be assembled. Notice that the upper bout assembly has taller stanchions and shorter plywood arms, and they go on the base in the shorter slots. I'm going to use 2 10/24 3/4 inch screws and 10/24 square nuts to mount each arm to the base. I'm going to start with the smaller upper bout arm. I'm going to place it onto the base, and from the back side I'm going to insert 2 of the 10/24 3/4 inch screws through the base and into the arm. From the top side, use the square nut to secure the arm to the base. You're going to do this for all 4 of the arms, remembering that the upper bout arms have the shorter plywood base and they go in the shorter slot on the base. Make sure that when you mount the arms to the base, they're in this configuration. That way they have room to adjust. If you do it this way, they can't adjust. Now that the guitar carrier is assembled, let me show you how to properly set it up to hold the guitar. Start by measuring the body depth of the guitar you want to cut binding channels in at the approximate location where the arms will be grabbing it. For example, in the upper bout, right about here, and I'm coming in with approximately 90 millimeters. In the lower bout, the arms will be somewhere down in here, and I'm coming in with approximately 105 millimeters. So the difference is 15 millimeters. Next, I'm going to match up the lower bout. Remember the one with the longer arm. I'm going to match up the lower bout traveler arms. And in general, the lower the better. To adjust the height, loosen the brass thumb nuts and then use the adjustment screw to go up or down. The idea is to get them both at the same height. And to do that, you can come in with a ruler and measure from the top of the traveler arm to the top of the base. And it doesn't really matter what that measurement is, you just want it to be about the same. So mine are now set to about 22 millimeters. That's from the top of the traveling arm to the top of the base. Now in the upper bout, I'm going to adjust those to 22, and I'm going to add the difference of the body depth between my upper and lower bout, which was 15 millimeters. So 22 and 15 would be 37. So let's set this up to 37. And you want, again, both of them to be the same. And they now are. With the guitar placed on your bench or work surface with the to-be cut side facing down, in other words, the side I want to cut as the top is facing down, I'm going to place the guitar carrier over the guitar body. Now remember that the shorter arms go in the upper bout. You want to adjust the arms so that the travelers are resting on the guitar body and the stanchions are against the body. Next, I'm going to loop the elastic cord that came with the jig around the carrier and hook it on the stanchions. I'm then going to pull it tight until the stanchions are pulled up snug against the guitar body. Next, center the base and then come in and tighten the 16 carrier arm screws starting from the outside, working in. So now very carefully turn your guitar body over with the carrier and you can release the elastic cord. In theory, the guitar should be level. However, it's a good idea to always check it to make sure the guitar is level before you go to cut it in the binding jig. So I'm going to come up here and measure, and come down here and measure, and I'm at 142 millimeters at both ends. If you need to micro adjust the height of the guitar to make sure the top of it is level, then loosen your brass thumb nut and use your micro adjust to adjust it up or down. After you make the adjustment, make sure that you tighten the brass thumb nut to lock it in place. The binding jig and carrier are now set up and ready for use. By attaching the optional Panavise base adapter to the carrier base, you can use it in the LMI Panavise. This makes it easy to hold the guitar as you do other steps in the guitar building process, like scraping bindings.